My name's Chanel Taylor, and I am the Director of the Australian Export Awards team here at Austrade. I'm joined by my colleagues today, Rochelle, Nicolina, Gemma, and Sarah. And I would like to welcome everybody that's attending today and thank some of our 2025 judges for joining us for today's workshop. Firstly, we have Lachlan Smith, who is Deputy Director, Trade and International Affairs at the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Secondly, we have Chris Wienig, who is Director of Finance and Business Partner here at Austrade. And finally, we have Sarah Stanton-French, Senior Global Engagement Manager, also here at Austrade. I really appreciate you coming along today to share your knowledge, expertise, and experience. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we gather today and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. For me here in Canberra, located in Ngunnawal country, I pay respects to the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people as the traditional custodians of this land. Thank you to everyone online for being here today. Today's session is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube, so it will be available to listen to again and to share with anyone who missed it today. For those of you who don't know the business of Austrade, we help grow Australia's prosperity by delivering quality trade and investment services to businesses, accelerate growth in Australia's tourism sector, and promote Australia's education to the world. Austrade delivers the Australian Export Awards in partnership with our state and territory colleagues, some of which are also online with us today. Thank you all for your hard work and support. For those who could not join us last week at the application workshop, we will run through some of the information at a very high level. However, we have added a link to the recording, which is posted to YouTube. So if you missed last week, I would encourage you to watch the video to learn a bit more about the program, including how to navigate our new application portal. We'll cover a few things in today's workshop, which will start with a quick overview of the program and a high-level look at some of the changes for this year. We will go through the judging process and the different levels of judging throughout the program. We'll walk through the application form and then the linkages to the new assessment criteria. You'll hear from Lachlan at ACCI, who will give you some tips and tricks to help you submit a great application. I'd also like to acknowledge and give a huge thanks to ACCI, as they are a judging sponsor and a long-standing supporter of the Australian Export Awards program. You'll then hear from Chris Wienig, who will walk you through the finances that you need to include in your application, and then on to Sarah, who will talk about Austrade services and the benefits of the awards to businesses. Last but not least, we'll be doing a Q&A session. Please feel free to add any questions to the Slido. On the right side of your screen, you should see the QR code or website details to access and ask any questions, or you can click on the link that we've added in the chat. You might also see Slido within WebEx itself, so please also feel free to use that. Let's kick things off. The Australian Export Awards is Australia's longest running export awards program. Now in its 64th year, the awards program recognises the achievements of our most outstanding, innovative and inspiring exporters and the far-reaching impact they have on the nation's economy. Prior to launching the program this year, we commenced an uplift of the program with the aim to modernise and ensure it remained fit for purpose. As a result of this, we implemented a range of changes, some small, some a bit more substantial, that I quickly want to walk everyone through. The changes following feedback from a range of stakeholders and from businesses that apply each year, our state and territory counterparts who work directly with these businesses, as well as government and ministerial representatives. One of the changes was a refreshed purpose and objectives. The new purpose of the program is to elevate and promote Australia's excellence in exporting and the economic and social benefits that trade and investment deliver for Australia. Trade benefits Australians by increasing productivity and economic growth, builds a stronger labour market, and generates more choices for consumers. The new program objectives have been updated to reflect the importance that trade has on helping grow Australia's prosperity. You can see the new objectives on the current slide. I won't read through them in detail. However, the program objectives are important this year as they link back into the application questions and assessment criteria the judges will use. Specifically, the second dot point you can see in bold recognise Australian exporters creating economic or social benefits for Australia. Some additional changes we've made this year include our detailed program guidelines that provide a single source of information on the program, from how to apply, clearer eligibility criteria, to our judging process and assessment criteria. The program guidelines make it easier and more transparent when businesses are applying. To hear more detail on the other changes implemented for this year, I recommend you watch last week's application workshop video, now linked in the chat. I want to quickly acknowledge our new category configuration as well, national category configuration as well. We have grouped our national categories into two different subcategories and also added a limitation on the number of applications a business can submit. Businesses can only submit one application per category type. On the left-hand side, you can see all the national sector categories from agribusiness, food and beverage to international education and training, down to sustainability and green economy. On the right side are the cross-cutting categories: emerging exporter, First Nations exporter, regional exporter, and small business. We have removed the e-commerce category this year, which leaves a total of 13 categories. Some of the state and territory programs do have additional award categories. Whilst these categories do not progress to the national program, they do give you an extra opportunity to be recognised in your home state or territory. The program guidelines are your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about the new categories and the general or category-specific eligibility criteria. So please download and read through and understand them. I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Rochelle, who will take you through how the judging process works.
Thank you, Chanel. Today, my name is Rochelle and I'm a program manager here in the Export Awards team. So you might be asking, how does the program work, or more specifically, how does the judging side of the overall process work? So firstly, of course, businesses apply in their home state or territory awards program. We all know applications are now open and they will close on the 12th of June. The application process, questions, and assessment criteria are the exact same across all states and territories, and that's so it's fair and equitable when it comes to the national level, managed by us here at Austrade. So eligible applications are judged at the state and territory level by a variety of industry expert or government representatives, and they judge against the assessment criteria, which we'll get to in a bit. Following this, once a business wins a national category at a state and territory ceremony, they will then progress to the national level to be judged by panels of judges across each category. So each panel per category is comprised of our award program sponsors, representatives of relevant industry or business associations, key internal or external stakeholders, or any subject matter experts. After all of this happens, all of the competitively ranked applications then progress to our national judging panel. The national judging panel is generally made up of the Austrade Chief Executive Officer or their delegate, our national gold program sponsors or judging sponsor, or any other relevant chief executive, business leaders, or head of government organisations. So they'll take a range of matters into consideration before providing recommendations of winners to the Minister for Trade and Tourism. So then once all of that happens, our national finalists come together at the awards ceremony at Parliament House in November, where all of the national category winners are announced, and one is also crowned, or will be crowned, the 64th Australian Exporter of the Year. So as part of our program guidelines and when developing the new application form, we've developed a detailed assessment criteria, and the aim with this is to not only help businesses structure your responses within the application form, but to also provide a better framework to our judges across the state and national level. So as you can see on screen, the next slide, there we go. As you can see on screen here, the application form is structured into 6 different sections. The table also shows in that middle column how many questions per section, and then the total word count per section. So section 1, 2, and 3 in those kind of deeper colors in the middle, they are the only scored section. This leads me into the new detailed assessment area, which we've got some change in our weighting per section, and then also our new assessment criteria. So the change in the weighting in that middle column reflects we want to move away from looking at just the numbers that businesses submit as part of their finances, but instead focus on why businesses do what they do, strategies, your growth and diversification, and that impact businesses are having on the global stage. So our new weighting across those 3 different sections helps us better align to where we're going. I'll dive into each of the assessment sections and their criteria. So assessment area 1, your business story and national benefit. You can see it's got that 40% weighting there. This is the why. We want you to demonstrate your value proposition and business innovation. Why do international markets and customers choose your product over others? Back it up with showing us the wins and demonstrate your export success with clear examples. Examples are key throughout your application. As Chanel mentioned earlier about those objectives, criteria 3, the demonstrated value and benefit to Australia. That is that direct linkage back to the program objectives and the value and benefit to Australia. We all know trade is crucial to Australia's economic growth. This is where we want to hear how you're linking back into helping grow our nation's prosperity. And this could be through a range of measures such as whether you've seen an increase in your export growth and revenue. Have you diversified in more markets? Are you leading in new innovation areas? Are you helping with sustainability or net zero improvements, or employing a strong Australian workforce? These are all factors that contribute to our economic growth, and we want to hear that. Assessment area 2, national category in the middle there. This section's weighted 20%, which is an increase from last year's 10%. Here you will need to demonstrate your specialised knowledge in the sector or cross-cutting category you are applying for. So every industry has different risks and challenges or barriers to overcome. We want you to demonstrate why you are a leader in your chosen sector or field. The very last one there, assessment area 3, business and export growth strategy. This section rounds out the total weighting with the remaining 40%, bringing section 1, 2, and 3 of the application form as the core of what businesses are assessed against. Under section 3, you must demonstrate an understanding of international business risks, your mitigation strategy, and your commitment to export growth and diversification. Show us you are prepared to continue to export now and into the future and your diversification efforts. For businesses that are applying in the same category they have previously won in within a 2-year period, we want you to demonstrate that you continue to advance in one or more of the following areas that you can see on screen there. So are you seeing growth in your export revenue? Have you diversified into new markets? Are you innovating into new products, services, or technology? Do you have sustainability and net zero impact improvements? And have you made any increase to Australian workforce or economic contribution? I absolutely encourage and emphasise that your responses should be tailored to address the new assessment criteria and show where you've made these advances. So now you know the application structure weighting and criteria used to assess your application. You might be wanting to know what actually makes a good application and what our judges think. So I'm excited to hand over to Lachlan Smith, the Deputy Director over at ACCI, you can see you on screen there, to share some insights, including tips and tricks when answering all the questions. Thank you so much, Lachlan, and over to you.
Thanks, Rochelle. As Rochelle mentioned, I'm Lachlan Smith. I'm Deputy Director for Trade and International Affairs at the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, um, also referred to as ACI. So ACI is proud to have been a long-standing supporter and partner of the Australian Export Awards. As Australia's largest and most representative business organisation, with members from Australia's smallest to largest businesses in every sector and corner of Australia, we recognise how important it is to recognise the outstanding, innovative and inspiring export businesses right around Australia. As the judging sponsor for the Australian Export Awards, we're delighted to lend our sectoral expertise to the judging process each year. And we enjoy seeing the fantastic applications that we receive. These awards are always very competitive, so it's important that applicants put their best foot forward during the application process. Today, I'd like to offer just a few top tips to think about as you prepare your application this year. The first one is to prepare early. Preparing early means that you have the time to review your responses, gather evidence from your team, and make sure it's as strong as possible before you hit the submit button. Of course, the best time to start your application may have been yesterday, but the next best option is to start today. So you've got some time before applications close now to get started and get that application happening. The second tip that I'd give is to take the time to explain your product and what makes it a great example of innovation. Where there are unique features of your product or service that have underpinned your success internationally, be sure to let the judges know. Don't assume that the judges know about what makes your product so special. While many of the products that are put into the application process are well known, you know better than we do why your product is a standout in the marketplace. Please tell us. The third tip that I have is to tell us the why of your export success. Why you have approached the export journey as you have, why you have targeted the particular strategies that you have, and why it is that that has been successful. Show us how you're an excellent example of thinking deliberately about your strategy, and then that you have adopted tactics that have helped you execute that successfully in market. The fourth tip that I want to offer today is to be specific and support your application with evidence such as examples or data. Be sure to make an argument rather than an assertion. So the great thing about your product is that when you say that it's a high quality product, you can back it up with the facts in very concrete terms. Make sure that you do that through the evidence that you provide in the application process. The fifth tip that I have are to make sure that you put your company's achievements on full display. Importantly, don't be humble. The last point perhaps encapsulates some of the previous points that we've covered today, but it's worth saying again. We understand that for many, writing export awards applications or grant applications isn't the main focus of your day, but this is your business's job application. If you have a great example of export excellence, be sure to tell us about it. Please make sure that you put your application as strongly as you can. One that I haven't mentioned on the screen, but one final important point is lastly to make sure that you apply. You can't win an Australian Export Award if you don't apply. From the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we look forward to seeing your applications and wish you all the very best in placing your application in this year's Australian Export Awards. Back to you, Rochelle.
Thank you so much, Lachlan. Great pieces of advice. I mean, I loved the last one. If you can't win, you can't win if you don't apply. So absolutely encourage everyone to just keep on applying. Next up, we have Chris Weinick from Austrade's Finance Division. There you are. Over to Chris.
Thanks, Rochelle. So I'll just spend a little bit of time running through some of the financial information that businesses need to provide in their application and how this information is used in the process. So as Rochelle mentioned earlier, the financial data is not scored, but it'll be used by the judges to support the claims you've made in your application and help with the program administrators assess the financial stability of the business. So I'll run you through the financial data that you need to provide in your application. However, I think Rochelle is going to put that up on the screen for us as well, if that's possible, Rochelle. Thank you. So just the data that needs to be included in the application is we're looking for your export revenue over 3 financial years. If you're an ASX listed company, you'll need to provide financial data. You need to provide your necessary reports based on which ones are available at the time. If you're not an ASX listed company, you'll need to provide the financial data across 3 financial years. And also this year, we've provided an opportunity for an alternative that if it's possible to provide a letter from a qualified accountant that attests to your financial stability, then that is also suitable. If you are applying for the emerging exporter category, we only require 2 years of data rather than the 3 from the other categories. Austrade and our state and territory partners understand that this is a busy time of year leading into the end of financial year, and not all information is necessarily available. So it is possible to provide estimates for the 25-26 financial year. You might be wondering what we mean when we say that your financial data is used to substantiate claims throughout the application. So judges will focus on areas where you're making claims, such as we've increased workforce or diversified or increased in sales in a particular market. The data provided in the financial section will be used to look for evidence that this claim is supported by the financial data. Additionally, the data provided helps the judges consider the current soundness of the position of your financial position and the ability to continue supporting your future export operations. Importantly, I'd like to reinforce that all financial data provided is confidential and commercial in confidence. We put steps in place to make sure that this is the case. It is not used or shared for any other purpose other than administrating the program and the judging process. So thank you for having me here today, and good luck to all businesses applying. Thanks, Rochelle.
Thank you, Chris. Some valuable information there about the finances, so thank you. Next up, I'll hand over to Sarah Stanton-French from Austrade's Trade Division to talk about some services and benefits. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Rochelle. So yeah, my name is Sarah Stanton-French. I work in the Trade Division at Austrade as the Senior Global Engagement Manager. So I did want to take some time today to acknowledge that we know Australian exporters are continuing to face uncertainty through a really challenging time in global trade. And so now more than ever, we really believe it's important to recognise and promote the resilience of Australian exporters and the impact they're having on the global stage. So on screen, you'll see a range of services Austrade provides that can help navigate the immediate challenges businesses are facing, as well as some additional services to help market and promote your businesses overseas. So in April, just last month, we launched a new trade resilience service in response to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. So it delivers practical intelligence, insights and advice to support Australian businesses to navigate this increased supply chain volatility we're seeing. This service is delivered via the Go Global Toolkit, or GGT, which is a website to help Australian businesses find information about exporting. So it provides guidance, tools and support online to help Australian businesses grow into overseas markets. iBrand is Australia's national nation brand toolkit. So it's used by Australian businesses and industry associations of all sizes. It houses more than 540 free marketing assets, which are designed to work alongside your own brand in international markets. The Australian Export Awards program itself helps recognise the hard work of Australian businesses, and there's a range of benefits for businesses in being involved, such as building credibility in global markets, gaining national recognition backed by Austrade, and raising your profile with customers, partners and investors. These benefits were covered in more detail during the last workshop, and there's a link to them in the chat again now. So in the next slide, I also wanted to give you some examples of how Austrade has worked with some of the 2025 winners to help them grow their business profile through either promotional activities or by helping them enter new markets. So as you can see on the left of screen there, our 2025 Technologies winner, My Venue, said Austrade has been a wonderful resource for My Venue to grow and export markets. Its global trade offices have facilitated direct introductions to key industry stakeholders and customers we've previously struggled to connect with. Another example there is the 2025 Manufacturing and Advanced Materials winner, PWR Advanced Cooling Technology. So they said Austrade played a critical role in PWR's pivot from a predominantly motorsports brand to a more diversified business with a growing focus on aerospace and defence. So Austrade promoted our business at trade shows, helped foster relationships with US customers, and exposed us to the intricacies of overseas markets. And they're just two examples of how Austrade and the Australian Export Awards help these businesses raise their profile. And we do hear similar stories each year from our finalists and the winning businesses. But back to you, Rochelle.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. It's always great to hear some of the examples from our previous businesses. So we've got all the case studies online from our 2025 winners. So encourage anyone to go have a read and get some nice inspiration. I'm going to hand over to Gemma, the comms lead here in Export Awards, to lead our Q&A.
Thanks, Rochelle. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. So to wrap up today's workshop, we'll move into the Q&A session. So just a reminder about Slido. You can add your questions into Slido, either in the WebEx, so on the right-hand side, there's an option for Slido, or you can use the Slido platform directly by using the code 3261797. You can submit your questions under your name or anonymously. And if you like a question that's already in there, if you give it a thumbs up, it's more popular and will move to the top of the list. So let's kick off with some questions. And our first question is, can we use AI to help with our application?
I'm happy to jump in on that one. Absolutely, you can use AI to help with your application, but I would really encourage you to add your own flavor to it. Make it your own as well. Don't just copy and paste from AI tools. We're really looking for that human feel in it, I guess. So while yes, you can, we do encourage checking it over yourself and everything first.
Great, thanks, Chanel. Moving on to the next question is, do I get the scores or feedback from my application?
I'm happy to answer that one. At the national level, our national finalists, if they ask, will get feedback. We don't share scores. Each state and territory works differently. So I would encourage you to get in contact with your relevant state and territory program coordinator just to see how the process works there. But at the national level, yes, we do provide feedback to the national finalists.
Great, thanks, Rochelle. The next question is, what sort of documents can and should we include as supporting evidence in the attachments tab? You asked for images and logos, but can we attach any relevant reports or data to support our application?
I'll jump in again. So the attachment tab is purely for promotional purposes. So image, logos, and videos. The attachments tab is not available to judges and isn't scored. So definitely don't add anything else in there that you want considered because it won't be. However, where we require you to submit attachments to validate either your eligibility against criteria or categories, or such as if you're an ASX listed company, you'll have an attachment section as of where we need you to provide that evidence. So any other supporting data or information, make sure it's either your HR finances within that tab. But yes, everything in the attachments is promotional only and not available to judges.
Great. Thanks, Rochelle. The next question is around the assessment criteria, and the question is, to demonstrate value and benefit to Australia, can we describe areas of value and benefit which isn't necessarily quantifiable in dollar/economic terms?
I'll take that one, and the answer is absolutely you can. We want to hear about any benefits, that your business is making back into Australia. So, the advice I would give is value and benefit to Australia shouldn't be viewed only through direct economic contribution. We encourage our judges to consider broader national, social, reputational, strategic, or capability building outcomes that are also aligned to those program objectives.
Thanks, Chanel. The next question is, who are the judges?
I might as well take that one while I'm here. So as we mentioned at the beginning, the judges panel, so we have national category judges, which are made up of industry professionals, members of Austrade, people from ACCI as well. It's a really broad group of people who kind of know those industries. And then that comes up into the national judging panel, which, as we said earlier, is made up of the Austrade CEO or appropriate delegate. We have those gold sponsors, and we have our judging sponsor in there. And we often try and seek someone from across industry that's got experience as well.
Thanks, Chanel. The next question is around financials, so I might just give Chris the heads up on this one. So the question is, when saying 3 years of financial years, financial year 2026 is not yet available. Do you then provide financial year 23, 24, 25? I'm happy to read that out if that doesn't make sense to everybody again.
Okay, I think I'll answer, but Rochelle and Chanel, please add in from your perspective as well. So the 3 financials we're looking for is FY24, FY25 and FY26. We understand that the timing on FY25-26 is tricky because of the timing of the financial year, and these generally aren't going to be finalised. So for that financial year, we're looking for what you have available. It might be a mid-year or a Q3 position, but we're looking for the 3 most recent financial years to support those claims. Rochelle, do you have anything to add to that? Or
nope. Spot on. The latest financial year 25-26 is estimate or forecast only. So yeah, we're very much aware we're still coming towards the end of the financial year. So any as close as, I suppose, estimates is perfect. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Rochelle. The next question is Assessment Area 3, Export Growth. What if I'm not looking for new markets? Will I be marked down for this?
I'm happy to.
Rochelle.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
No, absolutely not. There are export growth is not only attributed to market diversification. The assessment criteria notes several efforts that might be attributed to that growth or diversification. So obviously diversification in new or existing markets, but maybe it's diversification in products or services. Maybe you're reinvesting in staff development and diversifying your skills, export development and commercialization. So it doesn't need to necessarily just be entering new markets, but double check the program guidelines, have a look at the assessment criteria and what examples we provide. So you just need to demonstrate that you meet any of those efforts that we have listed there.
Great. Thanks very much, Rochelle. The next question is, do I have to submit... Oh, sorry, sorry, let's start again. Do I have to submit both a national sector and cross-cutting application? I know I can submit only one per category type, but do you recommend submitting one in each in all circumstances?
Absolutely, if you can and you're eligible, it increases your chances of winning, having one in both. You would need to meet those eligibility requirements in the program guidelines though. But you know, if you are an agricultural business that is, you know, maybe earning less than 10 million a year, you could definitely look at the small business category as well. But yeah, entirely up to you, but I would recommend it. It doubles your chances, right?
Sure does. Thanks, Chanel. The next question relates to one of our previous questions, but just to make sure that the information is clear, I'll read it out again to make sure, that everybody knows the answer. So the question is, regarding the financial requirement, the financial year 2026 year financials are not available yet. Will a forecast suffice?
Yes.
Over to you, Rochelle.
Yes, absolutely. The forecast for the current financial year 25-26 will suffice.
Great, thank you. And the next question also regarding financials, can I submit a letter from a chartered accountant instead of a certified practicing accountant? Might throw to Chris for this one.
Yeah, confirming that that's correct. A CPA or a CA is fine.
Great, thanks, Chris. The next question is, when talking about new customers or market diversification, is it important to name the customer/market? What if your business isn't wanting to share this yet?
I can jump in on that one. Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button again. So technically, no, you don't have to name it, but all the information that we receive in the applications, we do treat as commercial in confidence. So, you know, we're not going to go and tell the world who that is, particularly if you do make, you know, a note of that in your application. But we, you know, we do use that as some of our promotional material and things like that with the allowance that we can, but it's never necessarily attributed to businesses specifically. So we, you know, we'll say our exporters are exporting to these markets. So if you are concerned, you don't need to note it in there, but it is helpful for us to see where those markets are.
Great, thanks, Chanel. The next question is, while wanting to add story and interest to the application, due to the tight word count, is it still okay to use bullet points?
Yes, absolutely. If bullet points help you keep it nice and clear and concise, short and sweet, go for gold.
Great, thank you. The next question is, how are requests for more information from the competition sent to us? Question mark, by email, question mark, or the portal? How will we know if we are asked to provide more data?
Great question. You will be contacted directly by a state and territory or your state and territory program representatives if we need more information.
Great. A couple more questions before we wrap up today's workshop. So one more question. Sorry, we'll do two more questions. The first one being, how internationally diverse do the markets we export to need to be? Can it be one continent, one country? Is this relevant?
I didn't know if Chanel was moving because she was going to answer it or not.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
For the application form itself, we do one country. I mean, it's not that it's not relevant. Of course, it's relevant. We ask for it. We want to know the diversification, but you can only provide the information that you're applying to. If you have exported to 5 markets historically and you're moving into 1 or 2 new markets, absolutely give us the examples and use those markets within the export market section. They can only be as diverse as what you are doing. So it's not necessarily diversifying, can just be hitting new markets. Doesn't have to mean the markets have to be so diverse in their barriers, etc. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Rochelle. And our last question, before we wrap up today, any questions that we don't answer today, we will put them in an email to everybody online, so they will be answered. So the last question we'll answer in the workshop now is 10% year-on-year increase in revenue is a very unrealistic target. Where did this benchmark come from? Very few organisations, even successful organisations, can achieve 10% increase in year-on-year revenue. Most commercial businesses would be looking at CPA plus or minus between 3 to 5%. Year-on-year is quite a normal annual growth benchmark.
I will take that one, and that's an excellent question. We appreciate it. So the 10% year-on-year growth figure is really intended to be a general indicator of strong export growth and momentum, rather than a strict benchmark or like a minimum threshold. Judges recognise that growth rates vary significantly across sectors, business models, market conditions, and stages of export maturity. So applications are assessed holistically, including consideration of market conditions, export strategy, diversification, innovation, broader value and benefit to Australia, not just solely against that single growth metric. So businesses that are demonstrating sustainable growth, resilience, or strong strategic outcomes may still present highly competitive applications, even where the growth rates are below that 10%. I hope that helps. But yeah, great question.
Before
It was
you,
a great question. Oh,
look, before you wrap up, Gemma, I just saw 2 questions come through that I really wanted to give airtime to and answer while we're online. The first one is a bit of an extension on the last question on how you will be contacted by reps. On the first page of business introduction, there is a main business contact field that you will need to complete. Whoever you list there would be that main point of contact that either Austrade or any state and territory representatives will contact you by. So email, phone, whichever one you list there. The second one is, do we count as a legitimate exporter for the purposes of this award? Oh, it just disappeared. If we only export to 1 or 2 other countries, e.g. New Zealand, absolutely. We've got the Emerging Exporter Award, which we are very aware that businesses are just starting out on their export journey and might be only exporting to 1 or 2 countries. This does not minimize your ability, eligibility, or validity in applying for these awards. So absolutely, you can apply if you're exporting to 1 country, 30 countries. So please don't let that stop you.
And just one final note from me, sorry. I realised I misspoke before when I spoke about the people that make up our national judging panel. I mentioned gold sponsors. It is in fact our platinum sponsors that also sit on that panel. Sorry, I just wanted to correct that information as well.
great. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody for joining us today. A special thanks to Lachlan, Chris, and Sarah for your tips and tricks and your time. So a reminder that applications are open until the 14th of June. And as the judges said, start that application now and apply as soon as you can. Visit the exportawards.gov.au to find out more and to view the program guidelines. Look out for a thank you email from us shortly, and we'll have a link to today's presentation and any questions that we didn't get to today. Thanks everyone again for your time. Please reach out to your state and territory contacts or us here at Austrade if you've got any questions, and good luck with your application. Thanks again.